Hello everyone, KosakChess here and welcome you on the recap of the round number 2 where I finally had time to rest because the next round started again at 3 p.m. So I had a really calm night in a beautiful place in Dilijan, Armenia. It is a lovely Armenian village where I spent a beautiful time outside. But who cares about what happened outside? Let's focus on the things on the board. So in the round number 2, I faced the local player FIDE Master Erik Gasparyan, rated 2324. Now I am with black, and I could barely prepare for the game because he had a really um, a small number of games in his database. The only thing I knew about him is that he plays e4, and already after c6 I was just maybe not bluffing, but I could expect everything because as far as I remember, nobody played Caro-Kann against him. D4, D5, E5, and Bishop F5. So this is how I usually play the advanced variation. I want to develop the bishop first, then play the move E6 and create this beautiful pawn pyramid. Knight F3, E6, and Bishop E2. So White claims the most ambitious way to play against the Caro-Kann, the most popular variation, the short variation. The idea is simple: to just develop pieces, make castle, and then try to create some pressure in the center by, for example, playing the move c4. Of course, we shouldn't be scary after the move c4 because our center is really well protected. But anyway, this is a really good way for White to continue the game. And I played this mysterious variation knight d7 castle and a5. Why mysterious? Because even nowadays I don't quite get an idea of this variation, although I try to analyze it a little bit. But I knew that some players like Vitaly Bernatsky or Daniel Bogdan Deak, who are 26 plus, Daniel is even 2700, they played this same variation against me when I was white pieces, and I faced quite a big problems. I managed to get half a point out of 2. The idea is probably for to make some declaration for white, because the move a5 maybe looks strange, but our idea is to get some additional space on the queen side. So of course the main move is the move a4 right there, where my opponents really love to play the move f6, trying to open the center. And for example, if white takes a pawn, I have knight f6 with bishop d6 and castle followed. The rook is on the open file, queen c7, rook e8. I might even try to open the center with the move e5. Really easy development, pretty easy game, and I think I even played the similar position on one of the title Tuesday. So with the move a4 f6, well, maybe I will show you the idea. The idea is that after the move c4, after taking, now this b4 square is kinda weak. I can easily put my bishop there. For example, I think I can even immediately go for bishop b4, and now this bishop can't be kicked off by any of white pawns. So knight e7 and short castle would allow us to end the development really quickly. Instead, he played the move bishop e3, which was already a surprise for me because, as I told you, the only move I knew is the move a4. So I asked myself a question: why does white play the move a4? Probably to stop my own a4. So without much hesitation, I played the move a4 by myself, gaining additional space and maybe trying to even push the pawn to the a3. If we manage to put the pawn that far away, it might be a potential strength later in the endgame. 91 happened in the game, and the move h5 I am pretty happy of, but this is also a typical idea. I I didn't really consider the move a3 right now, because after knight a3, bishop a3, b a3, rook a3, I expected something like the move g4, bishop g6, and f4. No, I am lying because I blundered the bishop. In general, let's say maybe bishop c1, rook a8, and f4, something like this. This is in general the idea of the move knight d1, because white wants to push the kingside pawns and use the fact that I didn't manage to do a castle yet, so they want to create a quick attack. You know, f5 is the threat. I can play knight d7, but there's always something like bishop d3, takes, and still f5 in the air. Although white moved his king's pawns, they are ready to attack, and they have every right to continue it. So after knight e1, I play this prophylaxis move h5, which stops g4 forever, and this pawn is also poisoned because after queen h4, I am attacking the h5 bishop and the h2 pawn, so a pretty nice tactic. After g4, bishop takes g4, queen g4, because of course bishop g4, queen h2 is a mate, so queen g4, queen h5, the material is maybe equal, but I get a really important f5 square for my knight, which we will see in the next few moves how important it is. Bishop d3 happened in the game, and knight d7, so I develop peace and hope that this knight will jump sooner or later on the f5 square, from which maybe it's worth mentioning that this knight from the f5 square will attack the center, and with the pawn on h5, it is not easy for white to kick off him from the f5 square, because I control the g4 square, so g4 move has never exists with the pawn on h5. Bishop d3, knight d7, knight d2, bishop d3, knight d3, knight f5. I have to put my knight on f5 in order to develop the bishop and then to make a castle if I would get a best conditions to do it. c4. So as I have told you, white counterattacks in the center. This is their typical idea, and of course it's really normal, really normal move. Bishop e7 and the move b4. So I think I equalized pretty easily after the opening. I exchanged this bishop, which would be really poor placed on the c8 square. Now it is gone, so I am fine. Knight on f5 is perfectly placed. It attacks the center, it attacks the e3 bishop, but my pieces look a little bit passive. That's how you may think in the Caro-Kann in general. So to not make your pieces passive, please open the position. D takes c4, knight c4, and knight b6. Now I open the d file, so I can target the d4 pawn. And also because of the knight f5, one of the unpleasant tactics doesn't work for white. Knight takes b6, queen b6. If not the knight on f5, this d5 move would be really annoying or even winning for white, because d6 is the threat, the queen is hanging, but knight d3 just solves all of the problems, and it is me who is winning there. So if not taking the knight on b6, I would jump with this knight on d5 soon, and with these two perfectly placed knights, I can attack the bishop, I can control the center, I can easily bring up my rooks to the d file. So beautiful position for every Caro-Kann player. Knight takes b6 happened, queen takes b6, and the move a3, which defends this pawn, of course. And this is the moment I had to think a little bit, because I knew that everything is going in my favor. Knight is perfectly placed. I have the d8 file for my pieces, for my rook especially. But my king is still in the center, right? But if I do a castle right now, queen h5, I am losing a pawn, right? And I had to consider two things. I had to consider the move h4, and I had to consider the move g6, because I need to protect the pawn on h4 somehow in order to don't lose him after making castle. So I could play the move g6, but I didn't like the thing that I'm weakening the dark squares around my king. And for example, if something like knight c5 happens, because this is the move I expected the most, the knight is really active there. And after the move castle, well, maybe right knight d7. So this is also one thing. But let's say maybe I escape with the queen, white plays something like queen d2, and after castle, rook d1, b6, knight e4. It is a exemplary variation, so please don't treat it as the things I calculated. But in general, the thing is that knight is on f6, bishop is on g5. If white manages to exchange my bishop, let's say I play b5, bishop g5, takes, you know, this, if the knight jumps on f6, I can never kick him off. And additionally, this knight is really annoying because it can create, it can allow white to create some mating nets. So this g6 move, I thought it might weaken the position of my king. So that's why I decided to play the move h4. Although now this pawn on h4 isn't that good as on the h5 square, because now g4 can be met with en passant, which still will allow white sooner or later to go for the g4 move. But for me it was the lesser evil to go for h4, not for g6 and weakening the position. Knight c5 happened on the board, so quite a nice prophylaxis against the castle, because now after castle, as I have showed you, knight d7 move. So after knight c5, I played the move queen b5. Queen is really good looking there, because if the knight moves, it still has an access to the d5 square, and I can make a castle in the very next move. And g4 happened. G4 happened, as I have told you. With the pawn on h5, g4 can never happen, but with the pawn on h4, now en passant, and the g4 still is in the air. So I thought I have to be quick, because if the g4 happens, for example, if I play something like some awaiting move like rook e8, g4, I can take the bishop, but I don't like opening the f file for the rook, and also this rook attacks my king. So, you know, this is definitely not a good deal for us. I played rook fd8 calmly and logically. After g4, now I take the pawn on d4, so everything is fine. That's why he played the move rook fd1, and again I had to think and consider all of these things, because now g4, I am not that afraid of the move g4, because the rook is not anymore on the f1 square. So, well, it's okay for us. But, you know, I have to develop pieces somehow. This rook on a8 now has to protect the pawn. If I move it, the pawn is blundered. Let's say queen takes a4, right? So, but you know, this rook can't be their whole its whole life on the a8 square. So I thought that I have to take somehow you know, kick off this knight from the c5 square. But if I take with the bishop, after bc5 the b file is opening for the rooks, and now okay, I can say I can easily develop my rook because I'm playing rook d8 next, but rook b1 and queen a6, rook b6, you know, queen a5, rook b1. Maybe not right rook b1 because the pawn on d4 is hanging right now, but something like maybe even now g4 move. Okay, maybe now even g4, because now I don't care about the open f file. Now I care about protecting my central pawn on d4. And okay, I developed rooks for the open d file, but the d file is protected right now. The center is really solid for white, and with these rooks connected, with the rook b4, rook a4, no, I am suffering a lot. I would never love to open the b file for the white pieces. That's why I played the move b6. I knew this is weakening my c6 pawn, so I have to prove something, that by weakening my pawn structure, I am not getting busted. But on the other hand, I kick off the knight on e4, and now this pawn can be free really soon. Rook ac8, I decided to do it right now. I could also do something like this, that I develop the rook on the d file and make a pressure on the center. But as I have told you, I didn't like the fact that the c6 pawn is now weakened, and something like rook ac1, I still have to worry about my c6 pawn. So that's why I played the move rook ac8 immediately, rook ac1, and the move queen d5. So centralizing the queen centralized is better than queen staying on the wing of the board. Knight c3 and queen f3. I saw all of these variations. Now I am not afraid of losing a pawn by knight or a queen, because in any of these variations I take the bishop on e3 and I destroy the position of the king. I chop these pawns, and with this king without any pawns, it should be dead loss. Although maybe there's no mate, but I can give several checks and chop all of these pawns. So he played the move rook d3, defending all of this, And he's playing really smart because now the rook is looking at my queen, right? So if the bishop goes somewhere, now I have to escape with my queen, etc, etc. It took me a while to calculate all of these variations, but after several minutes I played the move c5. And this is really committal move, let's say. Because, okay, white again has several options. They can take with the pawn on c5, but I recapture with the pawn on c5. If dc5 happens, I can take the rook on d3, queen d3, sorry, knight d3, and I can calculate, not calculate, but I can exchange everything in my favor. Let's have a look. Every single white pawn is on the dark square, and I have my dark squared bishop. So it means that this bishop has 5 potential targets for him. And also, these pieces are on the dark squares, so... okay, this is really... it looks really interesting, yeah? After rook c5, I can grab this pawn, then I can grab this pawn. These pawns wouldn't be also that hard to grab. Additionally, this knight is pinned, so after king f2, I don't even have to take the pawn on e5. Maybe I can go somewhere with the rook and take the pawn on a3, then play bishop b4 and take the knight. So yes, I am on the verge of winning, if not the winning right now. So exchanging these pawns is hard. If he recaptures with the dc5 first, I take again with the pawn. So I'm hoping that bc5 happen once again, like the variation I showed you previously. Yes, but after the move b5, I calculate the move rook d3, queen d3, and c4. I still want to open the bishop to target this a3 pawn. Queen d7 never works because of the move rook d8, and still knight e3, bishop a3 in the air, white is lost. So after c5, I was wondering what he wants to do, and after some minutes he played the move bishop g5. So the move I should be afraid of, because now the rook is looking at my queen, and I have to do something, right? I have to escape somewhere with my queen. But if I escape on b7, bishop e7, queen e7, and dc5. Now, without the bishop, he can exchange these pawns, I think, without any problems. Let's say bc5, rook d8, rook d8. bc5 probably should be also okay, but now he can even take the pawn on a4. Yeah, what I am talking about. I am even pawn down. So after bishop g5, yes, maybe I don't know, queen g4 to target the center. But again, bishop e7. And after knight d7, dc5. Literally the same variation happened. Rook d3, queen d3, bc5. And then maybe b5 even. No, bc, because bc5, rook c5, right? No, rook c5, queen d8. So maybe even this works. But, okay, anyway, who cares? The thing is that this bishop runs away off the board. It can no longer attack the a3 pawn because it doesn't exist. So bishop g5 might be annoying, right? Like, okay, maybe these endgames are not bad. Maybe I can equalize them really easily, because the amount of material is equal. Bishop g5. Yes. I was really proud of this move. I was really proud that I saw this from the advance before I played the move c5. Also, remember that if your queen is attacked, it doesn't mean, in 99% maybe it means that you have to move this queen. But 99% is not 100%, okay? So sometimes there are exceptions of the rule. And remember that if your queen is attacked, you don't have to always move her, yeah, because it is she. You don't have to always move her. Rook takes f3 and knight takes d4. And let's have a look. We are now piece against the queen, but we are attacking both of the rooks. And one single queen can't protect both of these rooks, especially when the knight on f3 happens with the check. Okay, so for example, if the move rooks, okay, it's not hard, I'm taking the queen. But queen e4 happened in the game. Knight f3 check, queen f3, and bishop c1. And now the character of the position changed dramatically. Dramatically, right? I saved my bishop, so it still can attack the pawn on a3. I have two rooks, which are in general, they are better than queen. So we exchanged some pieces, but I thought that this endgame might be favorable, especially when I have 3 pawns against these two on the queen side. That's why he took the pawn on a4, and sadly, he attacks the pawn on b6, he attacks the pawn on c5. I think that my pawns can't survive, unfortunately. If I push the pawn on c4, he takes the pawn on b6, rook c7, and the really annoying move, knight a8, which might look stupid as hell, but the thing is, the rook can't no longer protect the c8, c4 square if I want to fight for a win. Because if I play rook c, knight b6, there is a repetition. If the rook goes somewhere, for example, on a7, I come back with the knight, knight b6. The thing is that this pawn can't be protected by the rook, if not rook c7, but after rook c7 we attack not attack, but repeat the position. If rook d7, knight b6, not rook d5, sorry, but the move rook d4, there is the move queen, I thought queen c3, but bishop d2, so maybe... Okay, but queen c6, right? At first glance I thought queen c3, but bishop d2 and c3. So my calculation was wrong, but queen c6, right, and knight c4 still in the air. So knight a8, because of this really annoying move, I can't create a passer. That's why I thought that I have to take on b4, a b4, play b5 to protect this pawn, knight c5, and again, the move I am proud of, the move rook d5. You may think that this move is pretty normal because it attacks the pawn and maybe makes a pressure on the c5 knight, but the most important thing is that I don't allow white queen to go on b7. This was my main purpose of playing the move rook d5. So queen b7 now is impossible, and okay, additionally I can attack also the e5 pawn and the c5 knight, so a really useful and flexible move. Queen e2, so attacking the pawn. Bishop d2, there's no need to defend the pawn like this, because this pawn is okay, this pawn is defended, but my rook is passive right now, so yeah, there's no need to do it. Bishop d2, queen takes b5, bishop b4, queen b4, and rook c5. And we may see really soon how big difference make the two rooks against the queen, because the position looks equal, like maybe not equal, because if we sum up like in the kindergarten way, the two rooks are equal to 10, the queen is equal to 9, so I have advantage at least of 1 point. But not only, there is a rule that maybe, okay, it's not a rule, but there is a sentence in chess which says that rooks are more valuable. English is valuable. Who cares? Everyone knows what I want to say. The thing is that rook can attack one square 2 times, like rooks connected can attack one square 2 times, and the single queen can't defend a single square 2 times. So for example, I am attacking the c2 square 2 times, and even if the queen was on b3, I still can go on c2, even though the queen is guarding the c2 square. I don't care about it because I have 2 rooks, so I have like the, double power on every single square, only when my rooks are protected. So that's why rooks are in general better, because we can look at the same square, but the 2 rooks have the double power to look at the same square. So it will make a difference in the game. Queen e4, so he wants to defend the pawn, but as I have told you, rook d5, queen e2, and rook c5. Who cares that this queen defends the pawn? I attack it with the double power, so the single queen can't protect the pawn, and that's why he played the move f4, probably a committal blunder. I think so, at least. Probably he should just stay and do nothing, although I think I should win it anyway, because if I manage to put my rooks on the second file, again, attack the f2 pawn, which single queen can't protect, I would transfer to the transpose, sorry, I would transpose to the totally winning endgame. But he played the move f4, which opens these ranks, you know. Now if I manage somehow to put the rooks on the third, second, or even the first rank, right, I can create some mating nets. So rook c3, I am targeting this pawn, king f2, and rook d3. You can see how I finally improved the position of my rooks, right? Now they were on 5th rank, now they are on the 3rd rank, and you will see in the really nearest future that they will improve even further. g4, rook h3, so something like rook h2 threat. It can't be protected by the king because I have this really nice trick, rook g3. Let's say king f1, rook h1, king f2 anyway, and rook h2. Black wins a queen, giving up a rook, but winning a queen, which is a good deal. So queen a6 happened in the game to not lose a queen, but I improved my rooks even further. Rook c2, king g1, and rook h2. So they are connected, and they can now create some mating nets. Queen a8 happened, king h7, queen e4. Thanks to my pawns, I don't have to be worried about the perpetual check because the move g6 and the move f5. So a logical answer from him. He wants to open the position of my king, hoping that he will make some perpetual check, but not yet because my rooks are too active, and luckily my position of my king is also really safe. Rook e2 with a tempo, threatening rook c1, checkmate. So queen h1, and guys, write in the comment section if you want, because king has 2 moves, king g8 and king g7. I will even draw the arrows, king g7 or king g8. One move is drawing the position, and one move is winning the position. So pause the video, put your answer in the comment section, and then come back and see what black has played there. Because black has played the move king g8, the only move in the position. Why? Because after the move king g7, there is the move f6 check. And now, with these long moves, queen a1, queen a8, and queen h1, sorry, my king can't escape. And it is a draw. So king g8 allows me, after queen a8, king g7, but you may ask, okay, but after f6 the same shit happens, right? King h7, queen h1, and I can't escape. But king h6, important thing, and queen h1, king g5. And my king on g5 is really safe, it's run out of checks. So it's over. So this is over. That's why after king g7 he played the move king f1. I gave a check, king escaped on g1, and rook d2. Now both of the rooks can create a checkmate idea. He played the move f6, hoping for the move king h7, queen h1. But I played the move king h6, as I have told you, queen h8 or queen h1. They both run into king g5 move. Queen a1 to protect the potential checkmate idea. But after the move rook g2, with this, let's say, how to call this motif? I know how to call this motif, but this motif is relatively easy. Black won the game, white resigned. So I got my first point in this GM round robin tournament. The thing is, okay, that if white tries to escape, I keep checking. And now if one of my rook has a space to give a check on the first rank, I just do it. Rook h1. I give up one of my rooks, but I win a queen. And this endgame is easily winning for black. So yeah, I am wondering what was the fatal mistake for white, because they played relatively well. And nothing wrong happened. I think in this position maybe I will turn the engine on. I don't know. Now? Yes, you should probably see it. He should go for queen e4 ideas. Yeah, exactly. Because, okay, it makes perfect sense, because this queen is annoying. This queen, unfortunately, led him even to this losing endgame, this sacrifice of the queen. So he should just exchange it and don't care about it. Because after the move rook d3, this c5 sequence, okay, this c5 sequence is okay. and after the move bishop g5 gives us the perfect advantage. So yeah, bishop takes g5, rook f3, knight d4, queen e4, knight f3, queen f3, bishop c1, knight f4. Okay, c takes b4, a b4, b5, knight c5, rook d5, queen e2, bishop d2, bishop b4, queen b2, rook dc5, and rook d5, and we slowly improve the position. Rook d3, rook h3. Okay, check. Okay, rook h2 is inaccuracy, but for what reason? For no reason. Engine is stupid. Queen e4, g6 the only move, f3, rook e2, queen h1, king g8 the only move. If you wrote king g8, guys, you're amazing. You're amazing players. King g8, queen e8, king g7, king f1, rook check, rook d2. Yeah, this is now the matter of a time. Yeah, this is the moment where the game ended. So, okay, Caro-Kann defense. I recommend everyone to play the Caro-Kann. Solid opening, but with the perspectives of attacking the center, of opening the position, and if our pieces are getting some space, we may create some beautiful games like this. I am really happy of this queen sacrifice, of course, because it is not met that often in the chess games, so I am happy. I am, of course, really happy. Yes, and okay, but we still keep going. 1.5 out of 2, so a normal start. Tomorrow I play again with the white pieces, so let's, guys, keep fingers crossed for me, and see you in the next recap. See you, bye.